100 episodes, so happy 169th episode to us. Today we're discussing two animated series, the season finale of Star Wars Bad Batch and the season opener of Marvel's new What If. I'm Ravi, I'm here with my brothers Krishna and Arjuna, and Mr. Michael, who sits behind the scenes in the producer's chair. Question. If you could redo the Bad Batch season finale for season 1, what would you do to make it a lot better than what we saw?
I would make it Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, parts 1 through 5.
What? Wait, so you agree that there was problems?
No, I don't. We'll get into it, but
no, we're gonna jump. We're going hot right off the top here.
How would you make it better? I mean, that's a great question.
No, real quick. Let's just set let's set the stage. Right, this Bad Batch season 1, Dave Filoni's newest animated series, takes place immediately after episode 3. Follows the group known as the Bad Batch. There's a new character introduced, Omega. We see a lot more with the Kaminoans. We see a lot more in terms of the Empire converting and phasing out the clone troopers, bringing the TK Phase 1 troopers. We see more of Fennec. We see Cad Bane. We see a bunch of other stuff.
Hera, Chopper,
Hera, all that fun stuff. It's 16 episodes, correct?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah. Episode 15, I think, by far, the episode before this, by far the best episode. It set up our season finale. It ended, on a cliffhanger, and then we got this thing, which was talking.
So maybe the question, Mavi, is how would you make it better?
Yeah.
Since you seem to be the one with the issue.
To make it better, honestly, I would have ended it with episode 15.
Fair.
And then called it a day. And then I would have brought it, to kick the new season back off. You start with the big thing, and the biggest thing. Well, there's two big things, obviously. The biggest one, Crosshairs truly believes he is part of the Empire. He's waiting for the Empire. And does anyone actually remember the Kaminoan's name? The scientist who is now working for the Imperial Cloner. Dr. Cloner. She's now obviously working with them. We obviously see a cloner who has the exact same patch that we see in Mandalorian.
Dr. Pershing?
Dr. Pershing.
It's not Pershing. But Pershing's a guy from Mandalorian.
Right, yeah, but Pershing, the same patch. The Imperial clone patch.
So she's going to be in Mandalorian season 3.
Potentially. Huh? I mean, that would be cool to see a live...
Real quick.
I mean, we have actually.
This is a question I have about the Kaminoans. Do they clone themselves to extend their lives?
Yes. Ooh. So if you look at in expanded history, the Kaminoans were a race of people that weren't really cool, didn't have a lot going for them. So they decided to genetically alter themselves to have the best of the best. They perfected it on themselves so that everyone that's there is like a perfect Kaminoan. And then they marketed and sold the technology.
So to them, the best of the best is talking real slow, like this.
They think before they speak it.
Yes,
that is a good
they
quality.
Talk so slowly.
They do.
Anyway,
it's very peaceful.
I completely disagree with you. I think the finale was incredible. I loved it. It was the best episode for me, it put an exclamation point on the best first season of a Dave Filoni show, and I'm fully in.
I'm right in the middle of you guys.
Well, physically, yes, you were sitting
physically and mentally.
Nice.
I'm just kidding.
Can you explain the mental one?
Let's figure out who's smart and who's dumb. I'm just kidding.
Smart.
So I agree with Ravi that I believe episode 15 was the best episode of the season, and it was better than the finale. I disagree with Ravi in that this last episode was still really, really good, and is a very natural ending to what has been presented.
How could you not tear up when Omega said to Crosshair, "You're their brothers. You're my brother too"?
I laughed. I flat out laughed because I was like, I get what you're trying to do, but in terms of in terms of when I shed a tear and not like as a joke, but like legitimately like shed a tear, was like
when he thought he was gonna die.
No, was the sequences before the admiral of the fleet above the city opens fire. There are these nice kind of like glory shots of the empty facility where the clones came from, right? And it was that to me was more impactful, most likely impactful for me because I've spent the last 10 years watching and digesting and very into everything Clone Wars.
Sure.
And this that sequence and everything that happens there closes out for the most part, like the clones and their history with Kamino and that whole shebang. Unfortunately, with Bad Batch, that sequence and that scene with Omega saying what you said, where it's like, oh, they're still your brothers, I'm still your sister, or you're still my brother, whatever. Yeah. To me, it's not as impactful because Omega to me was very annoying this season, like super annoying. Which is fine. We have more seasons coming. We know there's a season 2 coming.
She's gonna grow up.
She'll
like
grow
Ahsoka.
Up. Yeah, exactly.
Ahsoka,
like Ahsoka's a great character. Where it's like she was also very annoying to start, and she got very, very good. And I think for like your average viewer, someone who just turns on Bad Batch for the first time, that sequence where they see the city being destroyed, they probably like, cool. They may have laughed and they shed the tear for the Omega thing. But for me, it's flipped because
I felt both though. Like I thought.
But Journey, you're better than us. You're an emotional guy.
But I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think
wow, ego much?
No, and I changed my mind.
No, in terms of Kamino being destroyed and that emotional stake, is huge, right? Because this is such a big part of Star Wars lore in recent history with the clones, specifically with Bad Batch, with the Clone Wars show. And I think to see it destroyed, it's really the turning of the page, especially like with all the stuff. I think we talked about this last week or a couple weeks ago. Like some of the most interesting stuff about Bad Batch is the stuff that's going on with the Empire and the world building and how the world is changing in this interim period. And this is just a continuation of that, right? I'm sure you guys remember, I think, the campaign for the original Star Wars Battlefront 2.
I was just going to say that.
Where in the campaign, when you're the 501st, you go to Kamino and you're supposed to wipe out the remaining clones.
Yep.
And then you get a cool battle sequence of stormtroopers versus clone troopers. I instantly thought of that. Like, this is kind of a canonical way to do that in terms of within the show. So I thought that was just really, really well done.
Jay, just to piggyback off of that, when you said that this wraps up like 10 years of like Clone Wars stuff, I immediately was like, wraps up 10 years of memories of the best Battlefront game, Battlefront 2, that came out on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, that was back in like
that was very much
05 or
yeah.
something.
And a lot of those battles, all those high pitched battles, took place in Kamino, like you said, and those were intense and. It's over now.
But I think, not to overpraise Dave Filoni, but you can't overpraise the guy because I think has such a mastery.
Also, real quick, he is obviously the executive producer for the show. There is still a whole other slew of creatives that are involved in this. It's not just one single individual.
I agree. I think it's like the Feige effect, though, where it's like, yes, you have directors for these like Marvel movies, but he's kind of like the architect behind the big beats and everything. So I think rightfully and wrongfully, that one guy gets the credit.
Yeah.
But at least with these animated shows in particular, they've done such a good job of expanding our understanding of the Star Wars lore and just making it that much more interesting. Clone Wars between 2 and 3, Rebels and Bad Batch now with between episodes 3 and 4, and just recontextualizing some of the stuff going on. And I mean, it also seems like they're doing that for Mandalorian between 6 and 7. So, and I think it's I think the show is amazing.
You know what the finale did the most? It set up, I think, a time frame for how long the show is going to run for. It's going to be at least 4 seasons. And here's why.
4 seasons in a movie.
Oh, well, that'd be great. But here's why, though. So they set up a bunch of things in this first season. They set up, obviously, the Empire shifting. They set up, a big part of it was the criminal underground. And then, obviously, we still got a bunch of stuff to do with the clones, right? So there's a few different storylines here that need to be continued and evolve. We still need. I think at this point it's inevitable. We have to have a Boba Fett arc and ramifications there. I think Darth Maul has to appear at some point because he's so heavily involved with the criminal underground, and. Don't rule out more Ahsoka and Rex, and then obviously the building up of the rebellion with Saw Gerrera and all that stuff. There's so many storylines that you need to progress. It's gonna be at least 3 more seasons.
I don't think we're gonna get a lot with the rebellion and the resistance and all that fun stuff. And the reason is because that story has been told a couple of different times. Like, we had an entire series, the Star Wars Rebels.
They're still going to dedicate a few episodes.
Sure, but I don't think it's going to be as
take up time.
I don't think it's going to be as important. I think the bigger thing, or the biggest thing that is going to be built up, especially in season 2, is around Omega just the general idea of cloning. And we kind of saw that with the after credit scene, if you will, with the scientist from Camino,
Dr. Cloner,
Dr. Tall Gray Coloner, joining up with joining by force with the Empire. I think what's going to end up happening is I think we're going to see, in terms of like season 2, we're going to see the Bad Batch is trying to survive, but I think Omega's also going to be like, we need to go after like our mother, if you will, and find out where she is, and that is going to lead inevitably probably to like, what is she working on? Potentially some Snoke stuff, because we know that
kind of got that tease earlier in the season.
Well, I'm also starting to wonder, like, is Snoke based on a Camino in terms of like height, kind of, and everything, and just like that, like the gaunt look and everything.
It kind of feels that
like
way,
it feels like if you took a human being and a Camino and you merged them together, do you not get Snoke?
Yes. Oh my God, I see it. I need to rewatch.
You remember back after episode 7, all of like, who is Snoke?
He's a Camino.
And like the shadows and like,
oh my God,
what if it's a Camino? Yeah.
Wait, and he has the Force. Remember our original theory on Omega is that she's a latent Force user.
Yeah,
she could be. She is the prototype for Snoke.
Well, I think we've talked about this with Mandalorian, and I think early in Bad Batch, but are they actually going to pull it off? And Bad Batch, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett is going to give enough background and context to Snoke, the rise of the First Order, that make the sequel trilogy slightly more compelling, not like the prequel trilogy is.
Yes, they are.
With Clone Wars, specifically, obviously, episodes 2 and 3.
Because they have a playbook for it, right? It's called Clone Wars and Rebels.
Right.
They have a playbook. The same guy who did those 2 shows is doing this and is heavily involved in things like The Mandalorian. So they're absolutely going to give context. And when the next generation is going to look at the sequel trilogy, much like the prequel trilogy, which was made famous through those 2 shows and then memes and social media.
Part of I would disagree. And the reason I would disagree is part of the problem with that is we are not in we're not in that era, right?
Sure.
Clone Wars is still prequel trilogy land, if you will, right? We're now in that in between the
That's a good point.
The Bindu. We are in the in between prequel and original, and then Mandalorian is also in that weird space of original sequel space.
But you do see the central storyline.
No.
It's the cloning.
So I feel like Bad Batch is going to inform what's going on with the live action shows, which right now predominantly take place between episodes 6 and 7, what they've dubbed the Mandalorian verse, right? Mm-hmm. With Mandalorian, with Ahsoka,
it's Mandoverse,
whatever you want to call it,
Mandoverse.
With Mandalorian, Ahsoka, with all those other types of shows that are coming out, right? Like, essentially the joke of live action Rebels season 5, right? Kind of happening there. Like that story arc is kind of percolating and going on, and I think this is adding to that, right? Because I think we've talked about like Omega has to show up now, like within Book of Boba or Mando season 3.
Unless she's dead.
Yeah, maybe she's dead, but it almost feels like inevitable with the amount that they've invested in the character, the connection she has to Boba, to the cloning stuff. It almost would be weird if she didn't show up in some way.
Well, so here's my thing. So Book of Boba, we know, is supposedly coming out end of 2021, right?
Yeah.
And then Bad Batch season 2 it just says 2022.
Right.
So we have no idea when in 2022, but we can probably
January
say
1st.
We can definitely say that Book of Boba is going to happen, probably finish before Bad Batch season 2. I don't think we're gonna see Omega in Bad Batch in Book of Boba, and the reason is because the fan or the individual that is watching Mandalorian and now Book of Boba probably didn't necessarily may have not watched Bad Batch or not know anything about Bad Batch.
What about Ahsoka though?
But Ahsoka's a little different in the sense that she showed up in she showed up in all of Clone Wars, she showed up in Rebels, and she is she's more well known, right? As opposed to like, if we did a big survey of everyone that is going to watch Book of Boba and we say to them, what's an Omega or what's Omega? But I don't know if a lot of people.
But I mean, they've done it with like other characters too. Think of like Saw Gerrera. He had a couple episode appearances before he showed up in a live action movie, and Star Wars has proven that they can reintroduce characters at different plot lines, and you don't necessarily have to have watched those previous things. I think you could do something similar with Omega, right? People understand the story of Boba Fett And most people, or a good amount of people, probably know he's a clone, right? It's even mentioned in Mando Season 2, right? That his face, the clones and everything, you could just be like, oh, here's a female clone of you. You know what I mean? And you could kind of reintroduce her that way, especially because you probably have to if you have her in that show because she is 30-plus years older. She's going to be an older woman at that point.
Same age as Boba.
Yeah, so you would have to do some type of reintroduction. So it could work.
The reason it could work as well is if the character is good enough, it doesn't matter if people are seeing them for the first time. The only information you're going to need to know, like Arjuna just says, if you see her appear in Book of Boba is Boba goes, holy shit, you're still alive or something. And then you get the context, like Mando's like, who the fuck is this? And he's like, this is my clone. This is another clone of mine who looks the same age, has similar experiences to her.
No.
It's going to be the foil to Boba.
She's going to be like, I'm Omega.
There you go. That's what she's going to do.
I'm Omega. Yeah.
I don't know. I would prefer the first time that we see those characters is in Bad Batch as opposed to, hey, let's do a live action thing straight away.
But here's counterpoint. How much more excited would you be for Bad Batch Season 2 if you see Omega show up in Book of Boba? I would be so excited.
I wouldn't be because,
well,
again,
you're by yourself.
Whatever. That's fine. It's my opinion.
I'm kidding.
The reason is because Omega is an interesting character. Sure, she became a lot more interesting these last couple of episodes because she was giving us more information that she clearly knows a lot more than she's letting on.
She's older than the Batch.
She's older than the Batch technically, which is interesting. But the rest of the season, she wasn't that interesting. She was like,
she was learning.
She was learning, which is
Learning on
fine,
the
and she was
fly.
doing armor upgrades the entire fucking.
Do you think
season.
she would have the bow in Book of Boba?
I don't know,
Pew, pew,
but I wouldn't care
pew.
to. I don't care to see her. Like, to me, Crosshairs, Hunter, their relationship. That is what I'm more excited for season 2 of Bad Batch,
Yeah.
as opposed to like.
And that's gonna be the central thing.
If any of them are alive.
I mean, that's if the Empire even take like. How's I mean. The Empire has proven they are pretty stupid, but it's like, just imagine, like, the Empire shows up, their scouts come by, they find Crosshairs.
Oh, I have a
They know
question
that
about
Crosshairs, like, kind of betrayed them, and they're going to be like, yeah, come on back.
Okay.
Come back.
That's
fine.
Don't
worry about it.
The biggest issue I had with the season finale. How the fuck does Crosshair expect to get off that planet? He watches the ship leave, and I'm like, so how does he have a comm that works? Like, that's not established.
Well, so Imperial Protocol, and I'm going to sound like an uber nerd here, is
Okay,
when you
here we
go
go.
and you ice a planet or you, like, blow whatever, you go back and you make sure you did the
They
job.
even mention, they do mention,
Yeah,
like,
the
oh, we got to
scouts-
get out of here before the
scouts come by. Yeah.
So the
Gotcha.
scouts would see him
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
and whatever.
That makes me
And
feel
that's
bad.
like, honestly, that's like usual military protocols. Like, you don't just go send your missiles or your whatever in and then leave it. And
sure?
Yeah, you make sure the job is
confirm the
done.
kill.
Yeah.
I don't think so. That doesn't sound
What, confirming
quite
a
right.
kill?
If
You don't think that's how the military operates?
No, if you drop a bunch of bombs in an enemy-controlled land where you are not physically able to go and check in. That's why you have a bunch of like.
But you still-
that's the whole problem.
You still send
I'm not-
drones
send
or
drones
you do
and stuff. That's what
flyovers
we're
or
saying.
whatever.
Not all the time. No, sometimes that's not possible. There's this place called Afghanistan where a lot of that didn't.
Wow,
happen.
we are not shifting
You-
gears
you-
there.
you
Let's
make a
bring
claim,
it back.
You make a claim on military. You got to be able to back it up. And I'm telling you right now, that doesn't always happen. I'm sure that's protocol, and that's what they.
That's
like
what I'm
to do.
saying. It's protocol. I'm not saying
but
it happens
doesn't-
all the time.
It doesn't happen all the time. Yeah.
In the context of this show, they do physically say scouts are going to come
Sure.
by.
In the
So
context
that's what
of this show, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's why they
Anyway.
probably dropped in that line because
Yeah.
that would be
Because Christian's going to get
At
up here on
least-
his high horse and be like, that doesn't always happen.
But it doesn't. But at least within the context of this show, they probably put the line of
Boo.
we got to get out of here because scouts are coming. In that, okay, that's
how Crosshair's
Crosshair was gonna get out. unless season 2 opens and it's like, wow, Crosshair died because we left him on that planet. He starved.
You don't think that would be
No,
hilarious? And then he shows up and he's like, I ate crabs every day as he escapes, and he's like a
surfer.
more anorexic than he is now. Oh man.
He's like, hi, I'm Crosshair.
So speaking of Crosshair, so he obviously does a lot of info dumping on us this episode. I guess the first question, the inhibitor chip, the Order 66 chip, is it in his brain? Is it not in his brain? What is everyone's thinking?
He says he took it out.
And real quick, before we jump into all that, I just want to present a couple factual things. Everyone's old man, young man, Tarkin, he doesn't know what he looks like. In the first 2 episodes, I think it's in the second episode, he tells the Kaminoans to increase the chip's ability,
Yes.
right? So we know that does actually happen. Obviously, there's a bunch of other things that happen to Crosshairs. He gets a booster in the face, and some of his skin melts.
That's where I think the chip came out.
Oh,
specifically because they kept the scar also in the back right of the skull, which they previously established is where the chip was for most of the batch and the clones. Like that back
left
right.
side.
Yeah, whatever side it is. I'm not good with that stuff.
But can I show you a tip? So if you hold out your fingers,
left.
you know the one on the left actually is the right way for L. That's how you tell your left.
That's why it's right.
That's not true.
That's how it works.
I don't get it.
So I think especially because they kept that visual representation of the scar there on that side of his head, I feel like that's the indicator of like when it changed. Also, there's like a couple subtle things with how he does stuff. So before that, he is like all in on trying to kill the batch, right? That's why he activates the hyperdrive where they're going to basically melt in the ship. After that, the other like instances we see,
He kind of talks to them.
he kind of talks to them. He misses his shots. So specifically with the Hera arc, right? When they're on that planet, Ryloth, and the ship comes and he shoots at it. We've seen Crosshair's accuracy. Like, it's dead on. He misses. He misses that ship. One would say almost intentionally, right? Like he could have probably hit them, but he misses. And I think some of those indicate that the chip is out. He is still working for the Empire. He says, I choose the Empire. In fact, when we go through bold predictions, you'll see I almost nailed that whole thing.
I knew you would bring
But,
it up.
you know, he doesn't want to kill them, but he wants to bring them onto his side because he does still see them as brothers.
Brothers.
And sister. Because he did save Omega.
He did.
What about you, Christian? You think it's legit, or do you think it's
Honestly,
or do you think it's the chip just completely rewiring his brain?
Honestly, so I totally did. So that whole booster thing to the side of the head where he losing it, that just blew my mind. I was like, I didn't even think of that. So I assumed he was telling the truth, that he had it taken out a long time ago, because that just makes for a better character arc in that he's choosing it. And it's, I think it's important to know as well, they are the Bad Batch. They are sort of defective, and they think differently, they act differently than regular clones. So the idea that these clones can have slightly more free will, that they can make decisions, based on preferences and, things like that, like upbringing and or whatever, nature versus nurture, is a more interesting story than, the inhibitor chip made me do it. So I assumed he was telling the truth, but the fact is I like the idea that it was melted out of his brain way better. That's pretty cool. And you're right, now that I think about it, in fact, it makes a rewatch almost like more interesting, because now you want to see like, Terminator Crosshair, because he definitely absolutely is far more like
I mean, he's legit trying to kill them.
Yeah, and he's like a Terminator. He's like a Terminator. He's like a robot, right? And then we have a few episodes where he disappears, and then you're right, when he comes back, there is a difference. And obviously, I didn't pick up on it because there was a few episodes where he was gone.
Also, bring up Ryloth, right? When we saw him earlier against some of Saw's rebels, he murders those people.
Yeah,
right when he's under the chip. In Ryloth, I remember when I watched that episode and that clone commander comes out, and I thought he was going to get shot by Crosshair because he showed that brutality of, no mercy to any type of resistance. And he doesn't kill them. He doesn't shoot any of the deserters either.
Yeah, but I think that's different. That's different, though, because, again, those, even though they are the regs, they're still his brother or brothers or whatever. Because remember, that's the big thing with the clones is, like, they themselves think of, like, I would argue that they themselves think of themselves as their own species, their own collective group, which they are, right? Like, but they are bred to, like,
but that's what I'm saying.
Work that way.
If the chip had been in his head at that point, he would have killed them because, like, that would supersede.
But do we ever see him, like, flat out kill any clone trooper? He flat out murder. He's fine with murdering new TK. He's like, doesn't care about that. Doesn't care about rebels and resistant fighters and all that. But I don't think we ever see him actually.
He's never like fought any like properly like that. So,
except for the Bad Batch, right?
Right.
So then maybe that's like a big flaw with Order 66. So like Order 66 works because cool, it's a Jedi, whatever, or it's a rebel, whatever.
Right.
But if you have to like have a clone turn on a clone, I feel like that like does something, right? Because it's like essentially like you're asking to like. you're asking them to take out like your own self essentially or whatever. So I think that makes it a lot more difficult.
Well, even the episode that we saw with the Commando cloner, right? What's his name?
Gregor.
Yep. Right?
McGregor? Conor McGregor?
He was another cloner who had chosen to kind of go on his own will. So, like, I think they're showing that there are flaws in Order 66 and that it's not just like, and everyone was bad like that, you know?
I mean, Papa Palpatine probably, when he's talking to his, like, cultists, he's like, and then I had Order 66, and it was great.
Do you think the Order 66 sort of maybe like, it's kind of like a mutation in a virus? It's like you have the clone troopers, or, you know, the clones, and an Order 66 turned on something in certain soldiers and creates like a Gregor, maybe even Rex got it taken out, I guess, earlier. But
so the way
soldiers,
the way
show up later, who are
I've always looked at like Order 66 is similar. Like the U.S. military did a whole bunch of stuff in the 60s and the 70s with LSD and like mind control shit to like get soldiers to be good soldiers, right? To follow orders, the perfect soldier. And that's like
LSD is an interesting drug.
Well, yeah. I mean, Black Mirror also has a whole episode actually where they dedicate to like where you can essentially turn off like, I want to say it's the cognitive function of the brain, or like a thinking portion of the brain where you basically turn off the idea of like choice. And I think that's what Order 66 does, is it turns off the idea of like being able to give or make a choice yourself, and then you're kind of just like a thing, and you're just a drone, and you'll do whatever.
And I think what Clone Wars and Bad Batch has shown is like, even though these guys are clones, they're all individuals, right? Like the beauty of Clone Wars was you're introduced to all these clones who have the same face, they sound the same, but they're all vastly different. And Bad Batch has continued to show that. Obviously, the Batch are like an extreme of that, but it kind of shows that the chip enhances, you know, some people's anger and angst with like Crosshair, for example. I mean, others like the Commando on Ryloth, for example. He probably did Order 66. There's no Jedi Master there, so they probably killed their Jedi Master. But he still does the good thing, right? Where he's like, I'm not going to go against, you know, Hera's parents. And like that's, and then there are clones that go with him too. So I think like that's the inherent flaw in Order 66. It's like, it's this temporary thing, but it doesn't completely rewrite who they are as individuals.
And it may, and like I said, it may even change them in some level, or at least make them more aware of what's going on.
I would bet the clones that are rebelling or have rebelled against Order 66 are older clones. So they're the clones that probably were on Geonosis at the very beginning of the start of the Clone Wars, like those original batch, and then the ones that just like blindly following orders.
The ugly armor.
They're probably like they're probably a lot younger, right? Because the other big thing with anything, right, it comes down to experiences and all that fun stuff. And those experiences, like with the clone commander on Ryloth, has those experiences with Hera's parents. Yeah. And those probably supersede any kind of orders or whatever, as opposed to like other fresh troopers that just drop there to go do a job.
But even Rex, right?
Well, he's like
Clone
he
Wars.
is an OG clone,
right? But even Rex in Clone Wars, right? Remember, his chip turns on, and he really struggles to try and kill Ahsoka, right? And it's because of probably that relationship as well. They had such a strong relationship that it was just enough for Ahsoka to then get the chip out of his head.
It could also be that we're completely wrong and Palpatine is using like some dark side bullshit magic.
Magic?
Yeah, he's using flat out magic.
He's not using the Force
Nope,
now.
magic.
He's a wizard. You're a wizard, Palpy.
So real quick, there's an entire week in the Clone Wars where Count Dooku and Palpatine were playing Magic the Gathering.
Oh,
and
not D&D.
Real quick, before we get into What If and kind of just comparing the two in terms of animation styles, we obviously had major bold predictions for season 1 of Bad Batch, and as always, we like to go back and revisit them and then make fun of each other and call each other terrible names. So we'll start with Krishna. Krishna believed, for some silly reason, that multiple engagements with the new Empire at different levels.
Very vague.
He also very very vague.
Kind of like true though,
It's
right?
super true because we saw a lot of the Empire in different ways.
We saw a lot of armor variants.
It's cheating though.
By the way, real quick, can we talk about armor variants? The TK Phase 1 armor, being based off Ralph McQuarrie's concept art, I very, very much want that armor.
You do?
Just putting that out there.
Wow.
Like, a lot.
All right, your birthday's coming up, so
We can't afford
We
that.
can give you like a $50 gift card to
that's perfect.
to start the $2 million.
I'll chip in
bill.
$25 for that
All right,
$50 gift card.
And then Christian also said that Darth Maul will appear. That didn't happen. Episode 16, after credit scene, Maul appears before the Kaminoans, kills the governor, demanding to know where Omega is.
The
none of
governor
that
did
happened.
die.
Well, we don't know.
I think. God, so many things were wrong. Oh, my God. Yeah, so I was wrong.
Classic.
I'm still bald. Carter!
So some of the other predictions. Let's go to mine.
Yeah,
'cause I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, yours were actually kind of probably more spot on than most.
So I think the one I'm most proud of was the Crosshair one.
Yeah.
Specifically, I said Crosshair will get his chip removed. I said Crosshair, after his chip gets removed, will still stay with the Empire, despite having the chip removed, and then he would get put down by the Badge. So I got 2/3 of it right. Did not get put down by the Badge, but I do think it's interesting that he's still kind of out there in the wind. He is this character who is morally conflicted. I thought the exchange between him and Hunter was like, we don't agree, we don't see eye to eye, but we're still brothers, right? And I think it's so fascinating in war. And I think like war stories where you have people who are connected to each other on different sides. And I think that's what they're setting up with Crosshair and the Batch. I don't think Crosshair is gonna try and hunt them down or anything, but he's certainly, not on their side.
We're just taking a quick second here to swap out memory cards, and then we'll keep going. We'll jump right back.
All right, well.
Real quick, before we jump back into the actual Pop Pod, we'll finish up bold predictions and then get into What If.
I did my second one.
Crosshairs gets over 60 turned out. Okay, yeah. And then, so we'll run to
So we
more
can do
of
my
that.
other one, and then we can do your 3.
Yep, and then we'll ask that question and then get into What If.
Woohoo.
Okay, are we recording and everything? Okay. So, Arjuna, your last bold prediction was we will run into morally gray bounty hunters like Cad Bane and Boba Fett. You were half right.
We did get Cad Bane. We got Fennec. We got, we did get morally gray bounty hunters.
How happy were you when you saw Cad Bane? Did you cry a little?
I was excited. I really want his hat.
Yeah.
I would love to do a cosplay of him. Don't know how that would work, but it'd be cool.
I saw it one of the celebrations that I went to. Actually, the last celebration that we were at in Chicago.
Chicago.
2 years. There was a guy who had Cad Bane. He did a prosthetic mask, so it wasn't like face paint or anything.
We need Lo, if you're watching, let's talk.
She was.
Yeah, Arjuna also, put out your. That stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that prosthetic stuff
I have
can
a
be
million
more expensive than the armor.
Oh, man.
So Arjuna was half right. I mean, let's talk real quick Boba Fett, because I think it would have been cool to see Boba Fett. I'm actually
He's a season 2 guy.
I feel like it's a season 2 thing because I feel like he's going to take up a lot of the season, and the fact that season 2 is after Book of Boba, I think somebody is planning something. Maybe.
Well, I mean, it's helpful. Dave Filoni,
all part of the plan.
Dave Filoni is on all the shows, right? He's kind of the glue
Can
bring all the stories together. For, see what's going on here, and figure out narratively. Like, let's do this, let's hold this. I'm sure in the writers' room they're like, "Ooh, we're gonna do this show about the Bad Batch. Let's have Boba," and he's probably like, "Let's hold off on the first season. Season 2, he's doing some other stuff here. It's gonna narratively make more sense." And it's funny because like. Marvel with their movies gets praised obviously because of their connectivity and the sync that they have, but on the TV side it hasn't necessarily felt that way, versus like Star Wars on the TV side it feels like they have a really good strong plan and a continuity line, but then on the movie side it's just
throwing poop against the wall. See one sticks.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh, man.
So my bold prediction for season 1, which were all correct, so we won't need to say. I'm kidding.
I believe you went.
Tarkin. I said that Tarkin is the main political adversary, one of the Bad Batch in Book of Boba, Echo or Hunter specifically.
That
we
could
don't
still
know that
happen.
Still
yet.
could happen.
We don't know
I don't know
that. But
why
Tarkin-
we let me put that as a Bad Batch.
Why'd you pick Echo?
I don't know. Hi, I'm Echo.
I'm Echo.
I also said that Omega dies. Sadly, that didn't happen. Or that Omega falls to the dark side because she realizes she has the Force.
That's like
but
a
she's,
season 4
she's
at
fearful of it. No one is there to train her. She kills people to kill the Bad Batch. She enjoys murder. Hunter puts her out of her misery. What the fuck?
Like, Ravi, I honestly have nothing wrong with the prediction. It's just not a season 1 prediction.
That's like
to be fair,
that's a series long prediction.
So I gather,
actually, real quick, that's my series. However long this series runs for, that right there is my series long prediction.
So these are our bold predictions for the season over the course of our whole discussion over the season.
Okay.
So I think your Omega one was after episode 1, like the movie.
Yep.
So that was your prediction right after that.
Oh, I did say this would be nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah.
Which could still definitely happen. I think it will happen, honestly.
It should.
For at least animation.
Yeah.
I don't think for...
I think Emmy noms are actually out already.
Are they?
Oh, you should check.
So we should check.
Yeah, we should. We're super prepared.
No one checks.
Yeah.
No one cares.
So those are our bold predictions. We're kind of all over the place. Let's hear all over the place bold predictions for season 2.
Ooh.
I'm going to go first.
The Bad
nice.
Batch will
And
live and die.
and real quick, I just want to preface this. Our bold predictions don't have to solely be within the show.
What?
They can be things around the show.
Oh, like, Hunter or Echo showing up in
exactly.
Book of Boba.
Exactly. We've already made the precedent. So my bold prediction is Dave Filoni in 2022 will release some kind of content not related to Star Wars.
Marvel?
Maybe. But
Dave Filoni?
I think Dave Filoni is getting to a point where if you look at his IMDb,
IMDb.
the last 20 years is just Star Wars.
I think he loves Star Wars.
which is great.
That's his
Which is
life.
great. But I'd like to challenge him to do something else. Come up with something original. Come up with a rom-com about me and
Why, though?
Ravi, I have a
Something
question.
else.
If you're paid millions of dollars by Lucasfilm, you personally,
yes.
to make Star Wars content, would you make anything else
So
that would be released publicly?
So here's are we gonna get into a deep discussion or we want a generic answer here?
Yes.
Okay. So I think it comes down to when you are in your career
Yeah.
and you are doing what you love
Yeah.
and then you're making good money,
Yeah.
you reach a point where you become bored.
Sure.
And it happens everywhere. It's not just it happens.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable, right? It's I think Dad said this a long time ago, right?
He's right over there.
He's right over there. If you work
Hi,
at a
Dad.
bakery, you'll eventually learn to hate eating baked goods because that's all you're surrounded by.
But Dad loves baked goods.
I know. See how big he is? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I think that's maybe happening. And I also like the idea, especially when you're in the creative side of things, it's good to get out of your wheelhouse, right? If you're a person that loves sports and all you're ever doing is sports, if that's all you ever do, you're very kind of locked in on that type of content. It's the same with Star Wars. These creatives, and in Marvel, right, as well. If that's all you do, the content is eventually just going to be very simple. Remember the dark times of Marvel, where it's movie after movie, where it's oh, cool, they're all the fucking same.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. It
But
happens.
here's my counterpoint, though.
Sure.
Everyone has an apex, right? Everybody has the dream goal, and to me, your dream goal would be directing a Star Wars movie, right?
No, not anymore.
What's your dream goal then?
I want to live on Mars by myself.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back to my previous statement.
You said dream goal, right? Dream means it can never happen.
I mean, within directing and movies and that.
Yeah, it would be awesome to direct a Star Wars, but once you've done it, then you need to figure out the next thing.
Unless they pay you 10 times the amount to do the same thing again. I bet you would do it.
But at some point, but the thing is,
at
some point, the money doesn't really matter because you're not creatively challenged, or you're just making a copy repeat of the same thing.
Counterpoint.
Wait, to yourself? Are you
counterpoints.
counterpointing yourself?
No, I'm countering his counter. But Filoni is being challenged now because he's doing live action, right? He's done
definitely.
animation.
Yeah.
And now I think he's more invested in the Mandalorian live action show, the Ahsoka live action show. He might be doing a movie, those types of things. I think that is his next challenge within that same sandbox.
All right, so Arjuna, real quick, before you continue, all I was trying to do is get us to clip this out, put it on the internet.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni sees this, and he's like, I need a new challenge. And he's like, cool, I'll become the producer or the EP or director of the podcast.
That can still happen. Now we have this great conversation that lengthens the clip, and the algorithm loves length.
Yes, very true.
I'm not clipping this out.
Oh no, Learman, Learman, you would become the fourth person in here, and then Dave Filoni would sit over there.
Wow. I can't.
You would sit right here in the middle. It'd be a nice tight squeeze.
Yep, it'll be a very nice tight squeeze.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's the plan.
Yes.
So Dave Filoni,
Dave Filoni will make a new piece of content in 2022.
unrelated to Star Wars.
Hopefully, was it good? And here's the kicker: if it is him producing an episode of Was It Good, our podcast, we can't talk about Star Wars. Otherwise, my bold prediction is completely wrong.
What would we even talk about?
Stargate.
Fabi, this section's called bold predictions, not impossible predictions. So,
You never know.
The
kind
kind will
know.
come.
I do know.
Krishna, you haven't spoken much.
Yes, I took a nap the last 10 minutes. I feel refreshed. Real quick, our producer did find out there were no Emmy nominations for The Bad Batch Season 1.
This time, maybe next time.
Maybe next time. But
Maybe they missed a
that
cutoff.
prediction was
I don't know.
wrong.
All right.
Bold, but wrong.
Well, what's your bold prediction for season 2?
My bold prediction for Season 2 is we will see a prototype of Snoke.
Ooh.
Proto Snoke.
So, but we won't know it's Snoke until much later. Maybe
It'll
season
be
4.
Snake Eyes.
It's gonna be. We're gonna see either like a Kaminoan like clone, or Omega's gonna reveal some information that she does have like latent force powers. Either way, that's going to be. We're gonna get a very clear, subtle but yet clear signal that Snoke prototype is either here or coming or is everywhere. Why are you laughing?
No reason.
Is it called doing this?
No,
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
read the screen, Christian.
Anyway,
Don't read it out loud.
I like that prediction. I think it makes sense that
We
Snoke
will
will be there.
prototype Snoke. We won't know if it's Snoke.
Anyway, Arjuna, your bold prediction for season 2.
Okay, for season 2 of The Bad Batch, I believe we will get death.
You mean like
One of the Bad Batch will die.
which one?
I'm gonna go with
Tech.
Tech.
Easily
Yeah.
Tech.
He's the most expensive.
No, Echo.
No, Echo is our through line through Clone Wars. They'll keep him around for a while.
I would
Yeah,
argue
Dave Filoni
Hunter's
can't
the
get rid
through
of
line now.
No, Echo, because he's the connection to Clone
Are
Wars.
you just saying Echo twice
Echo,
because it's
Echo,
Echo?
Echo,
Yeah.
Echo.
Also, Echo base on Hoth. That's probably founded by Echo from Bad Batch. Duh. Wait,
If
actually,
there-
that's a pretty
if
good
that-
prediction.
if
That's
that-
actually
oh
a
my
pretty good
God,
prediction,
what?
actually. Echo base, right? On Hoth.
Yeah.
And Echo's a character.
Oh, God,
Do you-
no.
If Rex was on the Battle of Endor, maybe Echo was at the Battle of Hoth.
I quit.
And Echo Base.
This universe
he
is
named
too.
Echo
This
Base.
universe is too connected. Way too connected.
wrong with that?
I love
Yeah, I
it.
don't like it.
Arjuna, by the way, you can have my prediction because Michael's writing it in there. Echo Base, baby. What to do?
I mean, it's a pretty good.
I mean, that's
kinda
a
cool,
good
actually.
one.
Well
That's a good
Arjuna.
one.
Well done.
I would say my second bold prediction is
You mean your
that
third?
Why do you get 2?
Obi-Wan Kenobi will show up.
Okay, that's
and
a
there will be a
stupid one.
connection to the Obi-Wan show.
Okay,
The Bad Batch.
And then
That's not bad.
here's my bold prediction.
Because that's supposed to come out next year, allegedly, right?
Supposedly, I don't know. Let's move on from that quickly.
Wait, you know something?
Shut up. Move
Don't
on.
text
No,
it, text
it's public knowledge that they've started shooting.
Yeah. Anywho, let's get into that big question before we get into what if.
Is it coming out next week?
Shut up and answer the question, Christian. Was Bad Batch Season 1, Episode 16 good? And was Bad Batch Season 1 overall good?
Yes and yes. Season finale was good. It was emotional. At the end of the day, it brought it back to what the show is about, which is brotherhood. And the fact that your big head is getting in my shot, bro. What it's all about, which is brotherhood, and the fact that you have this interesting discussion of we have differing viewpoints, we have different agendas. But I know I keep doing this.
Stop
I'm
doing that.
sorry.
Stop
I'm
doing
sorry.
that.
It's unconscious. I don't even think about it.
Think about it.
And then, yeah, the overall season was good. June's absolutely right. It's the best season 1. Dave Filoni
By
led.
far. by
animated
far.
show.
It's not close.
It's not close as of, that I can think of. Would you consider him though? What was his involvement on Mandalorian? Because if you put him on Mandalorian,
He was
the
a
best.
EP on it, and he also directed an episode or two.
So
and he showed up as a TIE pilot, or as
It was John
an
Favreau's
X-wing
thing,
pilot.
though.
yeah. As far as the animated stuff goes, this is the best by far.
best Filoni baloney ever.
Filoni baloney.
Filoni
He
baloney.
should, that's what he should do. Instead of directing a new piece of content, he should found his own
podcast.
baloney line called Filoni Baloney.
I'd buy it.
Wait a minute, that's genius.
Wait, would it be a clothing brand or just actual baloney?
No, actual baloney.
Oh wow!
You just
And
sell the
it's
meat.
just his face with his cowboy
You
hat.
know
He's just
how
like,
difficult it is to like make a food, like food, like a food thing.
you just have to find
Easy.
a farm and then
need a factory,
pay
maybe?
for it, and then
Actually,
hire a couple
Jeremy
workers.
Clarkson does it on that Amazon Prime show, Jeremy Clarkson Farms or something, or Farming Jeremy. Farming
Jeremy.
Just get a
specifically.
good lawyer. And,
There you go.
Manager. Oh, Arjuna. Was episode 16 of season 1 of The Bad Batch good? And was season 1 of Bad Batch good?
It wasn't good. It was perfect.
What?
It was the best episode of Bad Batch.
What?
One of the best animated Star Wars episodes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Perfect?
Season 1 of Bad Batch was really good. Really loved it. Like we said before, best season 1 of a Filoni show, and just a great season that will make me invested in the show, no matter how bad it could potentially get.
How
one
much
day.
Wait,
was
Arjuna-
that? I'm sorry. How much? Your last drink of orange juice? How much was actually orange juice?
Yeah, Arjuna, what drugs
You okay?
did Dave Filoni offer you to say that the episode,
Guys,
episode 16 of season 1 was perfect?
I'm a consulting producer on Bad Batch. I wrote the finale.
Well, then that makes a lot of sense.
Could you imagine? No,
was not
I
perfect.
honestly, I really loved the episode. It really spoke to me.
I really don't
I
like
really
you.
It really connected with me. I thought it was just like a
It
great.
connected with you? Are you a clone?
I might be.
Oh
I don't know. Mom, Dad.
That's true. We don't know anything about anything.
This is true. This is very true.
But I thought it was just like a great half an hour that really culminated with the entire story. I loved that it was quote unquote smaller stakes, because it, you know, at one point in the show, it felt like with all the cameos you're getting, the finale was going to be like Boba Fett or Darth Maul or something like big and lore changing. But I love that they kind of went with the quote unquote smaller story of the batch coming back together, and
The actual batch,
and Camino like being destroyed. It was amazing. Like I just, every single beat, every decision that they made, I couldn't ask for anything else.
Did you cry
Different.
tears of joy?
I
Because it
was-
was perfect.
He's tearing up right
I
now.
was, I was emotional. So I watched it on my iPad at like 12:15 a.m.
You have
sorry,
a
I'm
fucking
sorry.
TV,
watched
you
this
loser.
scene on your iPad, and you're calling it a perfect.
It was an iPad Pro.
Who gives a fuck what iPad it was? You watched it at a 12-inch like screen.
I'm sorry. So now I'm picturing you just like lying in bed, and you've got the screen here, and you're just going, and it's like dark. His hair's like passed out next to you. You're just like, it's so
That's actually
perfect.
that's exactly what happened.
Arjuna, oh my
There's
God.
more tears. There's like snot coming out of my nose though. I
mean, I don't think anyone's a pretty
Oh, like
crier.
Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder.
Oh,
When
yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
emotionality. Where is it? You know.
Oh my god.
Ravi, was Bad Batch the season finale good, and was season 1 of Bad Batch good?
The season finale was not good.
Wow.
It was a gigantic talking and stupidness.
Got it. So Ravi likes music
similar.
videos.
Hold on,
Got
very
it.
much very similar to Ted Lasso season 2 episode 4.
No, they're not even comparable.
You're right. Ted Lasso is fucking worse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wait, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Wow.
we
Spoilers.
won't get into details.
Oh, hey,
Spoilers.
hey,
But
you wanna,
Ted Lasso
hey,
was
you wanna
so
know?
much
You wanna know
worse.
how bad Ted Lasso? Nothing fucking happened. Just like this season. It was as Michael said in his text. Terrible. That is the Bad Batch episode 16. Terrible. If they ended it with episode 15, way better.
That makes
You
no
know what?
sense if they ended on 15.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna rewrite my own history. Bad Batch ended
Kind of
episode
like your
15.
Troll Hunters movie.
Yep.
The Troll
I can do
movie
that.
was fine.
No,
Except that
evaluate it
ending.
when on rewatch is going to end with Toby's death.
Oh, that's
not
right.
the whole
Yeah,
time
yeah.
travel.
Overall, though, the season, Bad Batch, it was good. A lot of interesting characters. Probably the best thing of Bad Batch so far for them. Crosshair's number 1.
Yeah.
And then I think number 2 is just kind of the backstory of the Empire. What's happening there. And then also number 3, the fact that Ralph McQuarrie concept art is walking around.
Yeah,
Actually, pretty cool.
Animated around.
Real quick, how important are these animated shows to Star Wars toys? Would you say?
Well, I will reveal on this podcast I may have bought a bunch more Sideshow shit. So yeah,
Have you bought all 7 variations of the Omega Pop? Omega, episode 1. Omega with Comlink. Omega with bow and arrow. Omega with
Yeah, of course.
Comlink.
God.
No,
I mean, that's what they did.
Comlink.
That's what they do with Grogu, right? There's like 50 Funko Pop variations out there.
Everything for everybody.
Give me the cookies version.
Grogu.
Oh my God! All right,
Macaroons.
we're gonna push through here. We're gonna get into another Disney Plus show because
We're the Disney pod.
clearly
Disney
I tried
good?
to add Lower Decks, but someone here didn't watch the show.
Excuse me, Lower Dicks?
Lower Decks.
I haven't watched
All
it.
right, sub Michael out for Krishna.
So let's get into Marvel's What If animated Disney Plus show. We got the very first episode this past Wednesday. It will be dropping every Wednesday, similar to Loki. The whole reason is Disney is really trying to fuck with you in terms of when the work week starts and when the work week ends.
They wanted you to
Because
stay
are
up till
dicks.
midnight every day.
Yeah, basically.
Honestly, Wednesday's a perfect day, though. Monday night football, Thursday night football. Friday is English Premier League soccer. Sunday's more football. So putting on a Wednesday
Football.
where nothing is happening, smart.
I think
Disney.
they also are probably thinking of like movie releases too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, movie releases.
Yeah,
too.
because, Delta's going to allow us to go to the movies.
I really
again.
thought Disney was planning their releases
Over
around
under of how
sports.
much Shang-Chi makes in the box office.
More than Black Widow.
I think less.
Ooh.
I think less.
I
Yeah.
think less,
The
too.
Delta's for real, yo.
There's an article that came out that they're not releasing on Disney Plus.
Shang-Chi?
Yeah, no Shang-Chi on Disney Plus. You can only see it in theater. Even the movie critics are not going after it because they're only doing an in-person screening as well. They're not sending out digital copies of the screen.
I'm sorry, did Disney go and listen to Christopher Nolan or some weird shit?
I wonder if it's like, not to get too far in the weeds here, but I wonder if Disney's now afraid of the ScarJo thing and they don't want to release this digitally as well and get some of the back.
Oh, fucking grow up.
I
They have
know.
lawsuits. They have lawyers.
I know before the episode we said we wouldn't get into it, but let's bring it up real quick.
Yes.
The article that came out that said
Yes.
that they're treating Shang-Chi as a experiment.
The CEO of Disney said it's
you're
an
setting this up to be
Bob
a
Chapek
failure.
or Bob Iger?
Bob Chapek.
You're setting this up to be a failure right off the bat. So if whether you're treating it as an experiment, it's going to be a failure
Yeah.
simply by you're cutting off half of the ways for people to watch.
Wait, can you
What's the
clarify?
experiment?
Can you
What's the
clarify the article? And what
Yeah,
was
so
said,
the lead
please?
actor came out and responded to this and
What's
said,
his name?
Simu, I believe. is how-
Simi Lu?
Yes,
Yeah.
is how you respond to it.
Was
it researched?
hey, we do it live. Literally.
Fuck it.
We do our research live.
So
Here on the
let me
air.
pull up the thing. So Simu Liu responded. This is the tweet he sent. We are not an experiment. We are the underdog, the underestimated. We are the ceiling breakers. We are the celebration of culture and joy that will persevere after an embattled year. We are the surprised. I'm fired the fuck up to make history on September 3rd. Join us.
Today we celebrate our Independence Day. Sounds like a bold prediction.
So I believe what Disney is doing is it's going to have 45 days in theaters exclusively, and then it will come to Disney Plus.
So I guess we were
Interesting.
supposed to be talking Marvel's What If, but we're now talking.
This is a what if.
What if we see this movie in theaters? Are we part of the problem or are we not part of the problem?
Well, it's an individual choice. The fact is it's coming out in theaters. They're giving you the choice to risk, things, your health.
They're limiting your choice
To
too,
go
right?
see it.
I will
They're
say
limiting
this.
your
I will
choice.
say this. I'll say. We don't ever talk about COVID in depth, but when you look at COVID, the Delta variant,
Was COVID
the
good?
Limba, the Baka Baka, the Wacha Wacha, the Huda 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 variants, like all the various names, I feel very, very uneducated.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I don't feel like there's proper resources to actually give me an informed decision when you compare a year ago when we were just dealing with COVID-19. So it's very difficult to
It's not,
make an
though.
informed decision.
CDC and the WHO. That's like those are the
Who-
top of the
who?
top. And the reason that you're even questioning it is because that the
Ads?
anti-vaxxers and the anti-maskers are so loud and so effective, and certain people are so effective at spreading misinformation that it's even a question of where you look for information. It's actually very simple. What are the CDC and the WHO guidelines? Do that. They are the most informed and the most researched.
I'm going to bring up our father's favorite actor, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, God, that's great.
Who recently said, I had a great video, and he said, this is what he said. He said that when you look for information about bodybuilding, you listen to experts like me, a professional bodybuilder. When you look for experts about banking, you talk to a banker. He's like, when you look for experts about medicine, you should listen to the CDC and doctors. You don't go to, I think this is what he said. He said, when your house is on fire, you don't go on YouTube and say, how do I put out a fire? You let the fire department deal with it. So he's like, listen to the fucking experts, essentially. Don't listen to YouTube.
So, but going back to me, because it's all about...
And Facebook.
But it's all about me, again, real quick. I guess the question I have is, come September, when, this movie is out in theaters, is it safe to go?
Look at the rates. Look at all
what's
the
going
information.
on in your city.
What are the CDC? What does the WHO recommend? And make a decision. It's really that. That's all you can do.
A lot of cities are now requiring vaccines to go inside, like vaccine cards.
The Brooklyn Nets are.
Yeah, the Brooklyn
Next
Nets.
season.
Probably most sports teams are going to follow suit.
So the staff, and then anyone that attends any live games in person has to show vaccine that they're vaccinated.
Oh,
anyway, we're way off topic here. Let's get back into what if
we got back on topic.
Yes, what if we got back on topic here? So Captain Carter.
That was a great Rush Hour impression. Well done.
Wait, what about Captain Carter from Stargate? Way better.
We got to rank the Carter. At the end of this section,
yes, power rank Carters.
We'll power rank Carters.
There we go. There's only 3 that we know of.
Yeah.
Carter.
That doesn't matter.
And Peggy Carter. So Marvel's What If. First episode dropped. What's everyone's initial gut reaction, their one-word impression to kind of recap that first episode?
Meh.
Arjuna's is meh.
I'm going to say interesting.
Interesting
that it looked really cool. I thought it presented a cool situation, like a parallel universe situation. I like seeing the differences, like with obviously with Carter and then with Captain America, the original Captain America himself. Sort of how that diverged and how
stop doing that with your heart.
Sorry, their core characters stayed, the same to themselves, right? So, yeah.
Nice. I'm going to go with Kang.
Wow.
Yep. I always like to start our segments off with
okay. Can I say something
controversy.
To
Yeah, of course. I'm going to go with Kang because this show, when it first dropped during, I think it was a gigantic Disney...
Investors Call.
Yeah, right? And it was just dropped. It was thrown out there, and it was kind of cool. They showed a little bit, whatever. And then, things like, we started learning more about the new Doctor Strange film. We started learning more about potentially what's happening Spider-Man. We got the Loki series. We got WandaVision. We got all this multi-reality stuff. And now, this show is out there. And already, the big thing that I've been seeing, which is hilarious, is people are convinced that the Watcher is a variant of Kang.
Why not?
Why the fuck not? But the problem is, if you look at comic book history and comic books, and I've been on this pod and I've said this multiple times, we can't always look at comic books and characters and be like, it's a one-on-one. They do change characters, they merge characters, they do all sorts of things. But in the comics, at least, Kang and his variants are one thing, and the Watcher is his thing and does his own thing.
Can you give us a real quick prime on who and what the Watcher is?
Sure.
Who watches the Watchmen? Yeah,
the Watcher is basically, in a nutshell, if you look at it, and this is my 2 cents, this is how I look at the Watcher. The Watcher is basically the fourth wall broken in the comic books. It's a narrator to you, the reader, in terms of what is happening through their perspective.
Interesting.
Right? So it's almost like it's taking another level at a comic book where you're physically opening the pages. You are the reader looking at Steve Rogers going through and battling the Nazis and destroying Hydra. But with the Watcher is giving you context from his perspective in terms of the story that is happening. So it's really you're reading through the Watcher who's watching this event, and you're getting more context.
So are we getting an unreliable narrator? Narrator.
Well, I would say no, because the thing with the Watcher is he is how it's been presented in the series is he is narrating, right?
Yeah.
He is telling you
we can trust him.
We can trust him because he's telling you what is happening.
You see him in the sky.
Yeah, he's almighty.
Yeah.
But and the other thing, and the other thing too is like with the Watcher and like being a reliable or unreliable narrator is we don't learn anything else about the Watcher except what he says in the beginning and the end, which is like, I'm here, I watch, I tell you, I can't interact, I won't ever interact, I cannot interact, and that's it, right? We don't learn like, hi, I'm the Watcher, and on Tuesdays I love my cappuccino.
So he's like a guest
in Free City.
He's like a guest in Westworld, right? He can go, he can interact, but he can't change things. Even though they can change things.
That's interesting. Because
it doesn't work.
Because we know in reality, right? The act of observing changes things. The whole Schrodinger's cat and
God, yes.
we're not going to get into that right now. So I assume it's more of a mechanism to observe parallel realities in this world. The Watcher's just a mechanism for that.
I think this conversation brings up like maybe one of my biggest issues with What If, or maybe not a big issue, but something that's interesting at least to talk about. That concept there itself is more interesting than what we've been presented in this show. Right?
Oh, 100%.
The fact that you have someone that's observing stuff, it's just used as a storytelling element.
Jeffrey Wright.
Right? Jeffrey Wright is like an amazing actor. He's a great voice actor. He's a really distinctive voice. He's a really high profile actor to get for the Watcher. And his talents, to me, in this first episode, are just kind of wasted because it's like he just gives you the premise. He's like, what if this happened? And then we get we basically get the first Avenger again, like slightly remixed, slightly retold. Like a middle schooler was like, yeah, what if it was Peggy instead of Steve? And it's basically the same story, like beat for beat almost, in terms of just like what happens in the story. And it's like,
that's true.
Cool. I guess this is cool or whatever, but it's just like you watch it and then that's it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that type of media, right? There's nothing wrong with a show where you watch it for half an hour, you're like, this was maybe solidly entertaining, and then you never think about it again.
You said right before we started the episode, Saturday morning cartoon. Low stakes, cool. Yeah. It looks cool to watch. You don't have to invest a whole lot.
I really wish they would have done, honestly, like, and this is I'm jumping ahead here. This is a bold prediction for the whole What If season 1. I don't think it is super connected to the MCU as at large. I think it's just a fun thing of like, very simply put, what if, like, just if we change these stories up. And
they Paul Bettany the situation again because AC Bradley and some of the other EPs were like, this is hugely important to the MCU. This is all canon. This is all could become stuff. They really hyped the shit out of the show. And then when I watched the premiere, I was like, this is what I thought the show would be. But then you guys said all this shit and changed my expectation of like, oh, we're going to like jump off of Loki and have like everything with Kang and everything kind of interact with like why there are all these multiverses.
Well, it's still good though, right?
Right, for sure. But like not true at all, at least to start, right? It's just kind of this fun, it's literally what the comic is, right? Like these really fun, hypothetical one-offs that are fun, that might be slightly interesting. Some are probably better than others, and you can kind of digest it, and then you can go on with the rest of your life.
See, that's why I kind of wish they would have dropped it like Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been fun. It would have been nostalgic as fuck.
Yeah.
Just like you wake up at, 10 o'clock, you're hungover as fuck from Friday night, and
Much
you've
like
got your
when we
bowl, you got your bowl of
like
cereal.
when we were kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got your
Hungover
bowl
from
of
the
cereal, and you're just
brownies,
like, cool, I'm going to throw
ice
on my
cream,
Saturday morning
the weed
cartoons.
brownies.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Honestly, like, that would have been so much cooler than, like, this weird Wednesday night drop.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's like...
Well, it's the expectation, too, right? Because, like, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki were all that same time, that's, prime time drop, right? And by putting it in that same level, you're like, this is the same level of that shit. But it's not. It's totally not. On every single level, it's not that same level of investment, right? They don't have half the voice actors who did the MCU.
Yeah, so the Steve Rogers is not voiced by Chris Evans. We know for a fact that A couple other characters are missing. Like Tony Stark is not voiced by
Robert Downey
Jr. I believe Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson is not in it.
Right.
We know there was a Twitter exchange with Dave Bautista because he is not in it,
Yep.
and he even claimed he wasn't asked.
Yeah.
To be a part of it. So there's like this whole thing, and I think one of the EPs was like let's be honest, like we had to. He said in response to that they had to be targeted in their asks because it's like it's not a highly budgeted show. They only had a certain amount of money, and they knew like some actors are busier and just more expensive. Like Downey Jr. with his previous contracts, you're never going to be able to afford him if it's a lower budget, right? So,
and again, and that's the thing is like the fact that the EP comes out and says it's not a high budget thing.
Right.
The fact that it's animation, it like proves that it is not a big important thing in the MCU, which is fine. But then like be nostalgic and like treat it as what it is. It's like a cool, it's a very cool Saturday morning cartoon. Like we are of the age where I think our generation, we heavily grew up with the idea of Saturday morning cartoons. You wake up, you turn on the 90s or the 90s anime Spider-Man show, the X-Men show, Power Rangers, all of that fun shit. Batman, Superman, all of it. It would be cool to have a replacement for that, and I think like that's a huge missed opportunity that they could have done. Like that would have been pretty dope.
And it would change the expectations too, because I think, at least for me going in, I would like, I expect something that is on the level of the other shows that have been dropped in this time slot, right? And it wasn't there. And now I can recalculate and recalibrate my expectation, and I'll probably enjoy the show more, but I also feel like I was sold a false bag of goods.
That makes sense. Before we get into bold predictions, just a couple talking points here. Red Skull.
Dead. Crushed.
Why? Why does Marvel continue to take one of the creepiest villains ever, right, and just shit on them over and over? Like the first Captain America, in my opinion, they didn't do a good job. Hugo Weaving, his performance was great, but they could have done way more with him. Sure. We see him again show up in Infinity War, but that feels like it was just a cop out. Yeah. And then in this, again, he's a repeat, right, of Captain
First Avenger,
or whatever.
It's just the villain problem for Marvel.
Yeah,
they just have a hard time developing villains. They'll present like a cool idea, and then it's over in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so. And again, going back to the Saturday morning cartoon kind of aspect of it, it feels like it's that Saturday morning cartoon because it can only focus on one thing, right? It can only focus on Peggy Carter being like Captain Carter, and it doesn't really do a good job of developing anything else or anyone, including Red Skull, including like, Steve or Bucky as like not becoming the Winter Soldier, and all these other like actually interesting elements that could be changed.
Yeah,
but none of it is giving any justification because it is that 30-minute window, and they really want to focus in on Captain Carter, which is well deserved. But then again, that expectation is different.
I think the other problem too, though, where you're doing this what if, you're taking a really cool character, Peggy Carter, but you're also like you're just copying Captain America. She has her own qualities and all that fun stuff, but like we're just consistently reminded that she is playing the role of Captain America as opposed to the role of Peggy Carter. Right. If you go into this show and you're like, I want to see Peggy Carter as a cool person, as a cool character, I would say don't bother.
Right.
Go and watch the Peggy Carter show because that's a fan-fucking-tastic show where it shows. Yeah, it's really good actually. Like season 2, and then they cancel it because fuck them.
Good whole ABC.
Yeah, really really job, guys. Great, really smart.
So Peggy Carter was a good show?
Yeah, the second season was really picking up. Like it was really becoming like a good thing.
So fun fact, Endgame actually is a character from Peggy Carter in the movie.
Yeah.
When Tony and Steve go back to when they get the PIM particles from Hank's thing.
Jarvis is there.
Yeah, Jarvis, or what Jarvis is based off of, is there with Howard Stark.
Right. Okay.
Who was
he was also the actor who plays Jarvis is also in Broadchurch as the bad guy and creepy.
He's also in.
He's in a few things.
Yeah, Cloud
Great
Atlas.
actor.
Cloud Atlas, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
We don't know the actor's name because
Yeah,
we're a
yeah.
terrible research
He's
podcast.
he's a perfect actor. An actor wants to get away from.
Yeah. We don't
who
know his
they
name
are.
because he's such a perfect actor.
Exactly.
But here, let's get into bold predictions here for what if in general. I already said that the entire what if is not going to be connected to the MCU at large. It's just a fun little thing, and that's okay. Do you guys have any kind of big bold predictions that you want to throw in there?
I have a few. I have one at least.
Druna, I swear to God, if you say that they all die, I'm going to flip the little table here.
Well, real quick.
I've got one, but
So real quick, they are doing a season 2. Season 2 has been officially confirmed, and the creators did say with Captain Carter that she is going to be a recurring staple that will appear in every season. They'll do another show with her. So like how this first episode ends is she ends where Steve ends at the end of the first Avenger, right? Where she wakes up in 2012.
Oh my God, this is perfect. This show is basically their, you know that statement that the CEO said about Shang-Chi?
So their
It's an experiment. This is the experiment because it's basically a real-time kind of like what was that word? Where you're testing out like
It's a pilot.
It's a focus group.
Yeah.
It's a massive focus group to figure out what people care about.
They even talked about that.
and then
They're
they'll
like-
launch this movie.
They did say like some of this stuff will probably get spun off at some point.
That's awesome.
And
See
so,
that
like-
that I'm okay with.
And so, like, you know, it seems like Peggy Carter is one that they've obviously are heavily invested in potentially doing. And I'm sure there are going to be others, and they're going to gauge, obviously, the discussion around it, how those episodes perform and everything. So
I'm going to piggyback off of that for mine then. This is connected to the Multiverse of Madness. And in that movie, you'll probably see some realities. Whatever does well, whatever people focus on, they'll probably recreate live-action versions of those scenes. So, like a female, Peggy Carter, Captain America, whatever else happens later on, right? They'll probably show those scenes in Multiverse of Madness. It's like, oh, here's the multiverse.
Oh, and then here's my actual bold prediction.
Right, okay, we'll get to that. To your point, though, and this is, again, because I like to jump down the philosophical, tunnel. Who says that other universes in the multiverse has to physically look how ours looks?
Not at all.
Right, so you
It
could...
It would be better if they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is going to show parallel universes, it would be smarter to just show it as it is shown in the What If show, as opposed to, like, recreating it in a different style or look or whatever.
You probably want a multitude of different media. You wouldn't want all of your multiverses to look like this animation, right? Like,
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, for example, we know of, I guess, 3 styles, right? Human being style, which is the MCU, Into the Spider-Verse, which is that weird Sony
Cell shading.
that took forever to
I forgot
make,
about that,
and
yeah.
then we have this what if style. So we have 3
Made by an
distinct styles right now.
Made by an Australian animation house. Fun fact. One of my favorite things from the the 90s Spider-Man show in the Secret Wars arc, when they return all the Peter Parkers to their respective universes, is there's the Peter Parker who's just an actor.
Yeah.
And they're going through that world, and it's like most accurate to our world. I
Yep.
want to see that world.
Oh, man, that'd be amazing.
There's a
Where they
ton
run
of
into all the actors.
Yeah.
Robert
play
Downey
the
Jr.
characters. Yeah. That's where
Auditioning for
that's why
Iron
they
Man.
saved the characters. It's like Downey Jr. actually came back to voice himself.
That would be pretty fantastic.
Oh
And
my
it's
God,
possible.
That would be amazing.
But my actual bold prediction for the season is that episode 2 will end up being the favorite of the season.
Episode 2?
Are
you cheating?
Yep, maybe. I'm going to call it right now. He's cheating, and we'll reveal next week why.
Yeah.
That's flat out cheating. You can't do that. That's bullshit. Fuck you.
It will be the favorite of the entire series.
Fine, you know what? My bold predictions. Episode 3 of What If is going to be my favorite.
I agree.
Episode 3 is not that good.
Fuck you. Episode 3 is great.
No, it's not.
I'm real quick,
the first time
just so
in a
everyone's
long
aware,
time, this
we're
podcast has real
just
stakes.
we're
disagree.
recklessly speculating right
Yeah,
here.
we don't know anything.
We don't know
we're just
shit.
we're that good.
Yeah, we're really good
We're
at predicting
that
our future.
fucking-
Episode 2 is about... I'm just kidding.
It's gonna be about a guy who had a plan, who decided maybe my plan was stupid.
And episode 3 is about what if we had a cool premise but failed.
No, I think they...
Because of
executed
revenge.
exactly how it needed to.
Revenge. With that, let's ask that question because we have a couple more things, and I swear the longest podcast taping in human history will be over.
169. It deserves.
It has to be special.
I think we're approaching 2 fucking hours.
Woo! It has to be 169 minutes.
All right. Arjuna, what if Peggy Carter was Captain Britain good?
No, it was not good.
I am shocked.
It was okay, but for what I wanted, and like I said, I think the expectations were set high by some external factors. It was not good to me. It didn't feel like it fulfilled the premise of What If, where they could really go weird. It really played it safe in terms of like
There was a giant tentacle monster.
Yeah, well, that's apparently like Shura Gormath.
Hold on a second. It was
it Starro?
Schumer Groth. Yeah, who
Gorath.
supposedly is a villain in that thing called Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he's a Doctor Strange
So-
villain.
Multiverse of madness,
He's a cool villain, whatever. It just didn't. It felt like it played it really safe for a first episode, and it didn't hit for me. I felt like Peggy Carter deserved more than what she got in this episode.
She did already. She got a show, and then ABC was like, nah.
We good.
I'm good. I'd rather invest in... do they still do that dumb show about singing with that British guy who's always mad?
Simon Cowell?
Yeah.
American Idol?
Yeah, is that still a thing? Or is that Fox now?
It was Fox, and then it was moved to ABC or NBC. I forget which one.
I think they do the voice now.
Keep going.
Krishna, was What If Season 1, Episode 1 good?
It was good. I had zero. First of all, I forgot about the show completely until a few days before it came out. So I had less than zero expectations. I totally forgot about it. Forgot it was even a thing. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to watch this. I had no idea what to expect. And I watched it and I was like, oh, yeah, this is kind of cool. This is interesting. It was entertaining. 30 minutes long, not too long. I didn't mind the animation style. So yeah, it was good enough because like I said, I had no expectations. I didn't even, and the fact that it feels so different than the rest of MCU, to me, it doesn't even matter that it'll connect or doesn't connect. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who we are.
Ravi, was What If good?
Burp.
No, it was not good. For all the same reasons almost that Arjuna said. Yeah, for pretty much the exact same reason. Yeah, it just wasn't fucking weird enough for a show.
More Men in Power? What?
It just wasn't weird enough for a show that could go, boinkers. And then the fact that, Jeffrey Wright was insanely underutilized. Like, what I would have loved is him to, like, appear as the Watcher and, like, just kind of break the fourth wall and be like, hey, so did you get tacos on Tuesday? Are you having tummy issues
The last
as well?
episode should be the Watcher versus the Beyonder.
That would be pretty cool.
What if the Watcher
Wait,
fought
wasn't the Beyonder a dick?
Yeah.
Yeah, what an asshole.
So he causes Secret Wars.
Yeah. Dick.
But didn't he have a good reason?
No, he's
He
a
was
dick.
bored.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
Also, he had a mullet.
Yeah.
in the cartoon.
But he has
did.
great
I don't know if he
streaks.
does in the
Yeah,
comics.
Yeah,
mullet's
great
just
streaks.
stupid.
Great streaks are cool.
Hey, wait, guys, I got Learman's cosplay for whenever we can go to
You
conventions
should be
again.
the Beyonder.
You should be the Beyonder.
And then we could be different versions of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I could be the chubby one.
The Clone Wars.
Man.
I could be
Spider-Man Clone Wars.
Chubman.
Which one's the chubby one?
Me in a tight suit.
You should be billionaire. You should be billionaire.
Oh, is that
Peter
the one
Parker.
with the
Silver.
iron?
The iron.
Real
Iron
quick,
Man
guys, before we
Spider-Man,
kind of wrap it and I do my little pitch to you guys, we obviously just spent a shit ton of time talking about 2 animated pieces of content. Animation, you could argue is becoming king. Marvel, Star Wars, they are very big and very involved with animation
Even Star
styles.
Trek is getting
Star
into
Trek
the
is
animation
also in
game.
animation. So between Star Wars Bad Batch, which is a very kind of Dave Filoni-esque style, versus this new Marvel What If style, which just like Star Wars and Bad Batch will be the same type of style the entire run of its season. Which one do you prefer?
Bad Batch. Easily.
Arjuna said Bad Batch. Krishna?
They're different. I don't know if I prefer one over the other. I like that they're different, to be honest. One feels Star Wars, one feels Marvel. I guess if I had to pick one, I would pick Bad Batch because I've been in that animation style longer, and I have good memories with it.
We've also seen the animation style evolve. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever,
Oh yeah.
decide to hate yourselves and turn on Clone
Season
Wars
1.
season 1 of that.
Throw on the fucking
Garbage.
movie.
That's like
It's
as bad as like when you
true.
watch Toy Story 1.
It's worse than
Toy Story 1 is
Might be
but Toy
worse.
Story 1 was like groundbreaking for its time. You
Yeah.
know, that's what's crazy about the time and stuff.
It's so bad.
I'm going to change my answer to Star Trek Lower Decks.
As your best animation style?
My favorite animated.
So you like Rick and Morty. Got it.
I do. I love Rick and Morty.
You like people that puke.
They don't puke in Lower Decks.
There's been a couple times.
Yeah, but they didn't in this first episode of the premiere.
They were
that
so
I really want to talk about. But some people that sit on this couch were like,
You
"I
literally
feel
can.
too much for it."
I really don't mind it.
Before we finally close this out, I want to pitch you to a brand new movie. You may have not heard about it.
No.
It is a Fox property, which was obviously recently acquired by a little tiny company called the Walt Disney Company.
Oh.
They produced this movie with
Wait, when do we start your timer?
an unknown in a second, an unknown actor named Ryan
This
Reynolds.
feels like part of the pitch.
This is part of it. Just start it right now. Anyway, I'm going to pitch Christian Arjuna in 69 seconds or less. The
You're 3 seconds in.
Fox Disney movie Free Guy.
You're 8 seconds in.
We're going right
We
now?
started.
Oh, shit. Okay. Anyway, so Christian Arjuna, you need to go and see Free Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds, a bunch of other people whose names I can't remember right now, because, again, we are the podcast that does perfection when it comes to research. But Free Guy is tied into to Fox, and there's this whole, like, Deadpool marketing thing that they did, and Ryan Reynolds was really funny, and then he's really big at one point, and he's, like, naked, and he's got, like, a shirt thing, and the after I watched the movie, I really wanted to play GTA, and what was weird is the same day. Now I'm thinking about it. The same day that I went to see the movie is also the same day that GTA announced that they're remaking all this fun stuff. I don't know if that's a coincidence. Also, the guy from Thor who directed it, Taika's in it, and he's kind of cool. I really like how he dresses. It's kind of progressive and fun. Anyway, go see the goddamn movie.
Well, that was a pitch.
What do you guys think? Does that make you want to see Free Guy?
Can I be completely honest?
Yes.
I was going to see this movie, and then after your pitch, I don't know if I want to see it anymore.
Yeah. Fortunately, same way. Fortunately, the marketing around the movie has been so good that I will see it despite your attempts at a pitch.
Yeah, so part of the pitch was to, like, make you re-believe in the marketing material. So good job for me.
I guess if that was your pitch,
I
yeah.
have to go.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in for however long we've been chit-chatting here. It feels like a long-ass time. Actually, last thing before we get out of here. I swear, last thing. We all got to actually participate in a really cool VR experience recently. Army of the Dead by Zack Snyder, the insane man that decided... What's wrong? Why are you laughing
I don't
at
know.
me?
When you say Zack Snyder's name, it's just funny.
Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder. So Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder is a little-known director who made us watch a 4x3 version of the Justice League for 4 fucking hours.
And we all loved it.
And we
for
loved
some
it for
reason.
some reason. So they came up with a VR experience for his movie Army of the Dead, which you can see on Netflix. This VR experience is a group setting where up to 6 players where you're holding a rifle. My cat is destroying the set behind us. You get to hold a rifle in your VR, and you get to shoot zombies, and it is fully interactive. Very cool experience. We got to see it here in Los Angeles at Century City. Overall, very, very cool experience. My finger hurt because of how many zombies I had to shoot. What did you guys think about the experience?
So for me, I had a unique experience. I have pretty thick glasses, and the VR headset would not fit over the glasses. So I had to take my glasses off, and I was on this bus. And I was shooting blind. I had the worst shot of everybody, but I did have the second most headshots. Just to point that out there. I had the second most amount of headshots.
It's kind of
blind.
crazy if you think about it.
But honestly, that added to the terrifying factor because I just had zombies running at me, and I couldn't see.
So I think what we should do for that Minotaur VR, that escape
wear
room,
glasses.
maybe we should all just not wear glasses and we'll be fine.
Wait. No. Yeah. It was great. It was a workout. I was sweating by the end. I wish it was like 5 minutes longer.
Felt
but
short.
honestly, it could have been long. It was just that it's nonstop action. So it might have been like longer than I thought it was. It's just because it was nonstop. It flew by. Great experience. Your heart is racing the whole time. So if you have a history of, heart problems or stress-related disorders, this is not the experience for you. You've been warned.
And communicate with your team.
Yeah, it makes it
Yeah,
way more
none
fun.
of us were screaming at each other like.
So Christian and I did it a little bit.
I tried, but nobody heard me.
Oh,
That sucks.
We were like,
So we had to, though, because we had to cover both the sides and the back. You guys just had one section, so it was fine.
Yeah.
So every time, we'd focus on the sides, and then if you know someone on the back, we could shift over.
Gotcha.
So it worked out pretty good.
And real quick, we're not sponsored by this VR experience or anything of that nature. This is our own free thoughts here. It was fun. Definitely, if you see, they are doing a kind of world tour. 16 city tour. If you can check out, definitely check out. It's fun.
If you're here in LA, I think it's here through mid to end of September.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
Great to do with some friends.
If you have any. If not, then
You
call
can
us
do
up.
it.
We'll do it with you.
You can do it by yourself if you do choose to, but you will be paired with other people.
Yeah, you'll go with other. Yeah, it'll be random.
Strangers. And with that, thank you for tuning into this long-ass podcast. As always, you can find us on Twitter at Was It Good, on Instagram at Was It Good BTM. Our website is wasitgood.info. Newsletters coming shortly. We do live stream these podcasts on Fridays or Saturdays, and you can find us on youtube.com/wasitgood. Our next pod will drop on Tuesday, so be sure to tune in then.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprise on what it is. Because we're really figured out stuff here, and we know what it is, but we're professional teasers, so we won't tell you.
Probably free guy. But anyway, goodbye.